Khuddakapatha. The Khuddakapatha is a collection of 9 short passages that may have been designed as a primer for novice monks and nuns. It includes several essential texts that are still chanted daily by laypeople and monastics around the world of Theravada Buddhism. Going for refuge. I go to the Buddha for refuge. I go to the Dhamma for refuge. I go to the Sangha for refuge. A second time I go to the Buddha for refuge. A second time I go to the Dhamma for refuge. A second time I go to the Sangha for refuge. A third time I go to the Buddha for refuge. A third time I go to the Dhamma for refuge. A third time I go to the Sangha for refuge. The 10 Training Rules. I undertake the training rule to refrain from taking life. I undertake the training rule to refrain from stealing. I undertake the training rule to refrain from sexual intercourse. I undertake the training rule to refrain from telling lies. I undertake the training rule to refrain from intoxicating fermented and distilled beverages that lead to carelessness. I undertake the training rule to refrain from eating at the wrong time. I undertake the training rule to refrain from dancing, singing, music, and watching shows. I undertake the training rule to refrain from wearing garlands and beautifying myself with perfumes and cosmetics. I undertake the training rule to refrain from high and luxurious seats and beds. I undertake the training rule to refrain from accepting gold and money. The 32 parts. In the head there is hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin, muscle, tendons, bones, bone marrow, spleen, heart, liver, membranes, kidneys, lungs, large intestines, small intestines, gorge, feces, gall, phlegm, lymph, blood, sweat, fat, tears, oil, saliva, mucus, oil of the joints, urine, brain. The novice's questions. What is one? All beings subsist on food. What is two? Name and form. What is three? The 3 types of feeling. What is 4? The 4 noble truths. What is 5? The 5 clinging aggregates. What is 6? The 6 internal sense media. What is 7? The 7 factors of awakening. What is 8? The Noble Eightfold Path. What is 9? The 9 abodes for beings. What is 10? Endowed with 10 qualities, one is called an Arahat. Note, for one, there are these 4 nutriments for the establishing of beings who have taken birth, or for the support of those in search of a place to be born. Which 4? Physical food, gross or refined. Contact as the 2nd. Intellectual intention the 3rd, and consciousness the 4th. 2. Mental and physical phenomena. 3. Pleasant, painful, neither pleasant nor painful. 4. Stress, the origination of stress, the cessation of stress, the path of practice leading to the cessation of stress. 5. Form, feeling, perception, fabrications, consciousness. 6. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, intellect. 7. Mindfulness, analysis of qualities, persistence, rapture, serenity, concentration, equanimity. 8. Right view, right resolve, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. 9. 7 stations of consciousness and 2 spheres. There are beings with diversity of body and diversity of perception, such as human beings, some devas, and some beings in the lower realms. This is the first station of consciousness. There are beings with diversity of body and singularity of perception, such as the devas of the Brahma hosts generated by the first jhana. This is the second station of consciousness. There are beings with singularity of body and diversity of perception, such as the radiant devas. This is the third station of consciousness. There are beings with singularity of body and singularity of perception, such as the beautiful, lustrous devas. This is the fourth station of consciousness. There are beings who, with the complete transcending of perceptions of physical form, with the disappearance of perceptions of resistance, and not heeding perceptions of diversity, perceiving infinite space, arrive at the dimension of the infinitude of space. This is the fifth station of consciousness. There are beings who, with the complete transcending of the dimension of the infinitude of space, perceiving infinite consciousness, arrive at the dimension of the infinitude of consciousness. This is the sixth station of consciousness. There are beings who, with the complete transcending of the dimension of the infinitude of consciousness, perceiving there is nothing, arrive at the dimension of nothingness. This is the seventh station of consciousness. The dimension of non-percipient beings, and second, the dimension of neither perception nor non-perception. These are the 2 spheres. Note 10. The right view of one beyond training, the right resolve of one beyond training, the right speech of one beyond training, the right action of one beyond training, the right livelihood of one beyond training, the right effort of one beyond training, the right mindfulness of one beyond training, the right concentration of one beyond training, the right knowledge of one beyond training, the right release of one beyond training. Protection. I have heard that at one time the Blessed One was staying in Savatthi at Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's monastery. Then a certain deva, in the far extreme of the night, her extreme radiance lighting up the entirety of Jeta's Grove, approached the Blessed One. On approaching, having bowed down to the Blessed One, she stood to one side. As she stood to one side, she addressed him with a verse. Many devas and human beings give thought to protection, desire well-being. Tell, then, the highest protection. The Buddha, not consorting with fools, consorting with the wise, paying homage to those worthy of homage. This is the highest protection. Living in a civilized land, having made merit in the past, directing oneself rightly. This is the highest protection. Broad knowledge, skill, well-mastered discipline, well-spoken words. This is the highest protection. Support for one's parents, assistance to one's wife and children, consistency in one's work. This is the highest protection. Giving, living in rectitude, assistance to one's relatives, deeds that are blameless. This is the highest protection. Avoiding, abstaining from evil, refraining from intoxicants, being heedful of the quality of the mind. This is the highest protection. Respect, humility, contentment, gratitude, hearing the Dhamma on timely occasions. This is the highest protection. Patience, compliance, seeing contemplatives, discussing the Dhamma on timely occasions. This is the highest protection. Austerity, celibacy, seeing the noble truths, realizing unbinding. This is the highest protection. A mind that, when touched by the ways of the world, is unshaken, sorrowless, dustless, secure. This is the highest protection. Everywhere undefeated when acting in this way, People go everywhere in well-being. This is their highest protection. Treasures. Whatever spirits have gathered here, on the earth, in the sky, may you all be happy, and listen intently to what I say. Thus, spirits, you should all be attentive. Show kindness to the human race. Day and night they give offerings, so be heedful, protect them. Whatever wealth, here or beyond, whatever exquisite treasure in the heavens, does not for us equal the Tathagata. This too is an exquisite treasure in the Buddha. By this truth may there be well-being. The exquisite deathless, ending dispassion, discovered by the Sakyan stage in concentration. There is nothing to equal that Dhamma. This too is an exquisite treasure in the Dhamma. By this truth may there be well-being. What the excellent awakened one extolled as pure and called the concentration of unmediated knowledge, no equal to that concentration can be found. This too is an exquisite treasure in the Dhamma. By this treasure may there be well-being. The 8 persons, the 4 pairs, praised by those at peace, they, disciples of the one well gone, deserve offerings. What is given to them bears great fruit. This too is an exquisite treasure in the Sangha. By this truth may there be well-being. Those who, devoted, firm-minded, apply themselves to Gautama's message, on attaining their goal, plunge into the deathless, freely enjoying the liberation they've gained. This too is an exquisite treasure in the Sangha. By this truth may there be well-being. An Indra pillar planted in the earth, that even the 4 winds cannot shake, that, I tell you, is like the person of integrity who, having comprehended the noble truths, sees. This too is an exquisite treasure in the Sangha. By this truth may there be well-being. Those who have seen clearly the noble truths, well taught by the ones of deep discernment, regardless of what later might make them heedless, will come to no 8th state of becoming. This too is an exquisite treasure in the Sangha. By this truth may there be well-being. At the moment of attaining sight, one abandons 3 things: identity views, uncertainty, and any attachment to precepts and practices. One is completely released from the 4 states of deprivation, and incapable of committing the 6 great wrongs. This too is an exquisite treasure in the Sangha. By this truth may there be well-being. Whatever bad deed one may do, in body, speech, or in mind, one cannot hide it, an inescapability ascribed to one who has seen the way. This too is an exquisite treasure in the Sangha. By this truth may there be well-being. Like a forest grove with flowering tops in the first month of the heat of the summer, so is the foremost Dhamma he taught, for the highest benefit, leading to unbinding. This too is an exquisite treasure in the Buddha. By this truth may there be well-being. Foremost knowing, foremost giving, foremost bringing. Unexcelled he taught the foremost Dhamma. This too is an exquisite treasure in the Buddha. By this truth may there be well-being. Ended the old, there is no new taking birth. Dispassioned their minds toward further becoming. They, with no seed, no desire for growth, the prudent, go out like this flame. This too is an exquisite treasure in the Sangha. By this truth may there be well-being. Whatever spirits have gathered here, on the earth, in the sky, let us pay homage to the Buddha, the Tathagata worshipped by beings, human and divine. May there be well-being. Whatever spirits have gathered here, on the earth, in the sky, let us pay homage to the Dhamma and the Tathagata worshipped by beings, human and divine. May there be well-being. Whatever spirits have gathered here, on the earth, in the sky, let us pay homage to the Sangha and the Tathagata worshipped by beings, human and divine. May there be well-being. Notes: Indra pillar is a tall hardwood pillar planted at the entrance to a village. The person who has reached this stage of practice will be reborn at most 7 more times. These 3 qualities are the fetters abandoned when one gains one's first glimpse of unbinding at stream entry, the moment when one enters the stream to full awakening. 4 states of deprivation: rebirth as an animal, a hungry shade, an angry demon, or a denizen of hell. In the Buddhist cosmology, none of these states is eternal. The 6 great wrongs are murdering one's mother, murdering one's father, murdering an arahat, a fully awakened individual, wounding a Buddha, causing a schism in the Sangha, or choosing anyone other than a Buddha as one's foremost teacher. Hungry shades outside the walls. Outside the walls they stand, and at crossroads. At doorposts they stand, returning to their old homes. But when a meal with plentiful food and drink is served, no one remembers them. Such is the karma of living beings. Thus, those who feel sympathy for their dead relatives give timely donations of proper food and drink, exquisite, clean thinking. May this be for our relatives. May our relatives be happy. And those who have gathered there, the assembled shades of the relatives, with appreciation give their blessing for the plentiful food and drink. May our relatives live long, because of whom we have gained this gift. We have been honored, and the donors are not without reward. For there, in their realm, there's no farming, no herding of cattle, no commerce, no trading with money. They live on what is given here, hungry shades, whose time here is done. As water raining on a hill flows down to the valley, even so does what is given here benefit the dead. As rivers full of water fill the ocean full, even so does what is given here benefit the dead. He gave to me, she acted on my behalf. They were my relatives, companions, friends. Offerings should be given for the dead, when one reflects thus on things done in the past. For no weeping, no sorrowing, no other lamentation benefits the dead, whose relatives persist in that way. But when this offering is given, well placed in the Sangha, it works for their long-term benefit, and they profit immediately. In this way, the proper duty to relatives has been shown. Great honor has been done to the dead, and monks have been given strength. The merit you have acquired is not small. The reserve fund. A person stashes a fund away deep underground at the waterline. When a need or duty arises, this will provide for my needs, for my release if I'm denounced by the king, molested by thieves, in case of debt, famine, or accidents. With aims like this in the world, a reserve fund is stashed away. But no matter how well it's stored deep underground at the waterline, it won't always serve one's needs. The fund gets shifted from its place, or one's memory gets confused, or, unseen, water serpents make off with it, spirits steal it, or hateful airs run off with it. When one's merits ended, it's totally destroyed. But when a woman or man has laid aside a well-stored fund of giving, virtue, restraint, and self-control, with regard to a shrine, the Sangha, a fine individual, guests, mother, father, or elder sibling, that's a well-stored fund. It can't be wrestled away. It follows you along. When, having left this world for wherever you must go, you take it with you. This fund is not held in common with others, and cannot be stolen by thieves. So prudent you should make merit, the fund that will follow you along. This is the fund that gives all they want to beings human and divine. Whatever devas aspire to, all that is gained by this. A fine complexion, fine voice, a body well built, well formed, lordship, a following. All that is gained by this. Earthly kingship, supremacy, the bliss of an emperor, kingship over devas in the heavens, all that is gained by this. The attainment of the human state, any delight in heaven, the attainment of unbinding, all that is gained by this. Excellent friends, appropriate application, mastery of clear knowing and release, all that is gained by this. Acumen, emancipations, the perfection of disciplehood, all that is gained by this. Private awakening, Buddhahood, all that is gained by this. So powerful is this, the accomplishment of merit. Thus the wise, the prudent, praise the fund of merit already made. Goodwill. This is to be done by one skilled in aims, who wants to break through to the state of peace. Be capable, upright, and straightforward, easy to instruct, gentle and not conceited, content and easy to support, with few duties, living lightly, with peaceful faculties, masterful, modest, and no greed for supporters. Do not do the slightest things that the wise would later censor. Think, happy at rest, may all beings be happy at heart. Whatever beings there may be, weak or strong, without exception, long, large, middling, short, subtle, blatant, seen and unseen, near and far, born and seeking birth, may all beings be happy at heart. Let no one deceive another, or despise anyone anywhere, or through anger or resistance wish for another to suffer. As a mother would risk her life to protect her child, her only child, even so should one cultivate a limitless heart with regard to all beings. With goodwill for the entire cosmos, cultivate a limitless heart, above, below, and all around, unobscured, without hostility or hate. Whether standing, walking, sitting, or lying down, as long as one is alert, one should be resolved on this mindfulness. This is called a sublime abiding, here and now. Not taken with views, but virtuous and consummate in vision. Having subdued desire for sensual pleasures, one never again will lie in the womb.